Hello, everyone. My name is Jenny Burak, and I'm an astrologer and an energy healer, and I work with the Ascended Masters and Archangels in bringing forward these messages. I'm really hoping just before I turn the camera on, there was a hummingbird in the shot, and so I'm hoping that she comes back. Is that her? I can see something moving there where she was before, but I hope she reappears. So I it's funny because Sandalphon yesterday they started talking to me about the Mercury retrograde. I started looking into degrees and getting like further into like exactly what's going to be happening with Mercury as he begins to move back. And so Sandalphon was speaking to me about some things that I could share in a video with all of you and doing a reading with him. Sandalphon, and it's funny because when I made the new moon video, it didn't occur to me to mention that Archangel Sandalphon, a lot of people believe that his energy governs or influences the axis of Pisces Virgo, which is where we manifest heaven on earth. And of course, there's the mythology that he is the vibration that brings the prayers to heaven, Pisces. And so he has a lot to do with Virgo, and Virgo is, his colors, like that golden, brown, and bronze colors. And I posted in the community tab, if you want to take a look there, he had me post an image that captures all of the colors of his vibration. And so it's probably a while ago that I did that, but I made the entire video about the Mercury retrograde and the equinox, and I went to press stop and it started recording. So I've already made this video once, not really, thought I did. I had, yes, a dress rehearsal is what Sandalphon is saying. So I'm sure it isn't coincidence that I was speaking to the Mercury retrograde when that little mishap occurred. But yeah, so we're going to just really be learning adaptability and going with the flow. I think we can glean from that. At least I am. But yeah, I think that that's probably a message for everybody who's watching. Because, I made the whole video all the way through and realized that I had never started the recording. So, man, I wish that little baby hummingbird would come back because she's been around quite a bit lately. So just keep looking. It would be over this shoulder that she usually shows up. So keep your eyes peeled. So when I was looking at the Mercury retrograde, he was pointing out to me the numerology and the significance of the numerology. And Virgo traditionally is the sixth house in the tropical zodiac, the sixth house of Virgo. Of course, it relates to giving and receiving. So what we put in, the effort that we put in, what we reap is what we've sown, right? And Virgo also relates to responsibility. And so the numerology is pretty fascinating. So just after the equinox, Mercury, it's actually like as midnight universal time comes, that on the 24th then, which is a 6, of course, a 9/24 would be a 6, that Mercury will begin to move, or is moving into shadow. And that will be at the 25th degree of Libra. But when he actually moves backward, it's October 14th. So that's a 114. And then when he stops in Scorpio, so he's going to go to on the 14th of October, he will be stationing at 11 degrees and 4 minutes, another 114 of Scorpio, and then he will move back until November 4th is when he moves direct. So in the United States, for us, that would be 114 again. And so a lot of 114. And so they asked me to break it down with the numerology as the 114. So the master number 11, which of course relates to balance and integration. And the 4 is where, there's a change, but it comes about through a long process of change, and there can be times where we feel restricted or held back, and we really need to push to manifest that change. But then there's the six of it, and the six relates to harmony and balance. And they asked me actually to read a bit from this particular website, which I'll list in the description box. And this is, I'm actually not sure, so we'll wait until, I think it's numerology.com is the website. And so it says the number 6 is the embodiment of the heart. It represents unconditional love and the ability to support, nurture, and heal. It is a powerful force of compassion and empathy, and its warm light is a beacon of hope. Its role is to use the heart and soul to be of service to others. The 6 in numerology shines in partnerships of all kinds, but especially emotional ones. Its empathy makes others comfortable letting down their guard and being open and honest about their feelings, which in turn allows it to understand and provide the help that is needed. We could all use someone in our life who manifests the devoted energy of the 6. And he was really speaking to being in a position of receiving and being open to reap what we've sown and manifesting what it is that we would like to create on this planet, and all the different ways that we do that, without even being conscious of it. Our thoughts are always manifesting our reality. And then also he was speaking about utilizing critical thinking through this period, checking and rechecking. Just like when I sat down to make the video again, I started talking and I realized, oh, it's still not recording. In my defense, this is not my technology. I'm borrowing my son's because I'm still waiting for mine to arrive. So yeah, whenever Mercury is retrograde, always really important to I almost said cross the I's and dot the T's. Oh my goodness. To dot the I's and cross the T's rather. And, just to double check and triple check, if you're signing a contract, make sure that you have all of the facts that are available, not rushing in to do anything, because when Mars is in this position during his retrograde, and then Mercury joining him retrograde as well, we can have a tendency to jump in. Plus, a lot of times with everything that's happening right now, there's like such an urgency. Like it feels like we really need to move forward, make something happen. So just being cognizant of that. And also when he does move retrograde, and the reason that I'm sharing this early is because of the shadow period. So when we talk about a shadow period, it means that on the 23rd, 24th, depending on where you are in the world, that Mercury will come to the degree of Libra that he is going to come back to during his retrograde and then begin to move forward. So, and a lot of us who are sensitive to energies, probably most of you watching, will feel that shift. And so that's why I wanted to get this video out. So as he does go retrograde, then on the 14th of October, he will be in an energy that is called a sextile to Venus. And whenever you hear the word sextile, think choice. A sextile is the Lover's card, the Gemini card, because from Aries to Gemini, that's a 60-degree angle. And when we're talking about a 60-degree aspect, there's something that we're making a choice about. Because he is sextile Venus, that would be something relating to balance of any kind, mainly between ourselves and others. And he's talking about releasing tools of dependence or relationships where there is a dependency. Also food is Venus, particularly, well, not particularly, but a lot of times that can be sugar. And so, bringing balance to diet and then pleasure. Venus relates to pleasure as the goddess. And a lot of times in religious teachings, we were asked, and in your DNA, even if it wasn't you that it happened to, but there are stories in the DNA of having to give up all earthly pleasures, having to go without and not being able to have any pleasure just to prove that you were serious about serving. So you needed to make a sacrifice of something. So we're moving out of that energy of sacrifice and allowing ourselves to be taken advantage of. And, in order to manifest what is the best relationship for us, we treat ourselves as if we're the prize, and then then someone comes along who feels the same way. It always begins with us, right, and what we think. And he will be in what's called the semi-sextile, so a 30-degree aspect to the moon. And of course, the moon relates to creature comforts, what we like in our house, also food, like comfort food. The moon relates to the kitchen and, the sign of Cancer. And so, again, there's going to be things coming up related to food, eating habits. The moon can also be where we become disillusioned, or we're gaining feelings of connection with any of the water planets or luminary or signs. It can be that we're like manifesting the connection through a substance, or finding our escape that way. And always when there is a resistance to turning within and looking within, it's because we're avoiding the shadow. The shadow is not anything that's dirty and terrible about us. The shadow always starts with pain. And so when we're, finding reasons to work, or, I have to get this done and this done and this done, and doing for others, it's a lot of times because we're avoiding looking internally to see the pain. He's saying, disguised as the shadow. And so we're going to be doing a lot of hermit work, again, Virgo, the sixth house, and Mercury. A lot of turning within, going within and looking at what it was that caused us pain, and why does that still bother us. So just be open to, things coming to mind that occurred a long time ago. Things maybe that we think we've moved past, and now it's like our higher self is like, let's take another look at that. And it's never, like with condemnation, it's always just pointing out that it limits us, is what he's saying. Whenever there's blame or there's guilt, then we, of course, associate those with shadow. Then there's something there to be looked at that probably was hurtful. And that's also the moon, the heart, the emotions. Also, it will be in an opposition, Mercury, to Uranus, who is in Taurus, which is the sign of the physical body. And so, really, he's talking about unleashing bad habits. That's Uranian energy that just comes along like the tornado and shoop, oop, it's gone. Because, most likely, if there is something that is in the way, let's say, like some habit that we're ready to drop. And typically, he was pointing out finding like new ways to gain pleasure and forming new habits that then those just sort of crumble away. Like they aren't important. They don't bring us the same level of satisfaction, and there isn't pleasure. It's just like we just feel guilty about it all the time. And then what's the point, right? So, not being able to find satisfaction in things that he's talking about, how we change and our vibration changes, the needs of the physical body changes, and that when we are looking to old ways to find satisfaction, relief, pleasure, that they simply will not satisfy, is what he's saying. That there comes a time then when it's time for that to fall away, that the physical body isn't enjoying that sensation as it once did, is what he's saying. Also on that day when Mercury moves back, Mars will be squaring Jupiter, and that's judgment. So there is so much of it. It feels like it's just rampant right now, where there's just, easily offended and a lot of judgment going around. And, it's always replacing judgment with compassion. Nothing outside of us or our higher self is judging us. I remember early on in my awakening, I'd lost it, and I'd gotten really upset about something, and I felt so bad. I felt so terrible. I was sort of raking myself over the coals. And they said to me, we understand it comes from pain. There is no judgment. They only have compassion for us. So having that compassion for yourself, or having compassion for yourself like you do for others, the same compassion that you have for others, having that for yourself, having grace for ourselves and accepting ourselves. Because the shadow is, typically when they do that work with me, whether it's in dream time or if they're showing me through a vision, it's the inner child that they're always showing me, that is the culprit. It's sort of like that part of us that isn't healed, that the inner child can be a naughty toddler, is the way that he's putting it. And, when we're talking about a Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, then of course we're dealing with the subconscious and ties to the ancestors. Old occult practices could come back online. All kinds of, like, there's richness, in the Pluto energy, and what goes on deep down. There's richness in that. And that's why, Pluto rules gold, things that come in from the ground, things that are waiting to be unearthed, is what Archangel Sandalphon is saying. So we want to make sure that we're, moving past self-judgment, because that's why we judge other people, or it's like so easy to point out what it is with other people, where their deficiencies are, is because that is what is reflecting back to us, once again, Venus. And, that Venus, or Libra. Libra, of course, is highlighted because Mercury is going to move back into Libra during the retrograde, but also with Mars moving retrograde and just being in Aries for so long, that's activating that Aries Venus axis, or Aries Libra axis. So the self and the other, and what is reflected back to you with others. And he was talking about us doing, going over issues in dealing with love relationships and partners of all shapes and sizes, he's saying. So whether it's colleagues at work or the boss at work, family members, just watch and observe, he's saying, what it is that you see in others. And remember that everything that is happening externally is reflecting internally what is going on with us. So I pulled some cards with Sandalphon earlier. So these are the Art of Love Tarot, and the artwork is by Toni Carmine Salerno, and Denise Jarvie is the author. And so that will be in the description box as well. All of my information is always in the description box. And so let's just go through the cards. So I pulled 5, and then we have the card at the bottom of the deck, so 6 cards. I'm not going to actually use my glasses because of the lighting. Okay, so the first card that we have is the 4 of Hearts. And the 4 of Hearts correlates with the 4 of Cups in the Rider-Waite Tarot. It says, looking outward for happiness will cause compromise and bring disappointment. Look within. Happiness is a way of being. The 4 Hearts whispers through a mist of emotion. Ooh, it's funny I said demotion. Huh. The 4 of Hearts whispers through a mist of emotion. There is trouble seeing beyond the negative aspects of life. Certain experiences from the recent past are weighing heavily on the present. You are blaming yourself, another, or an outside situation for your current situation. Nothing has gone wrong. There is a bigger, loving picture beyond your view. Focus on the thing that is going well in your life. Open your heart and vision to other strengths in your life and add them to your gratitude list. In little ways, every moment is gently moving you away from pain and toward happiness. You are stronger than you know. Change is closer than you think. So, for those of you who have been, feeling um, depression or anxiety related to, there's just so many, all of us are in I would say the majority of people, whether it's because you're home alone now and you don't have any interaction with people, or because you're schooling, a child who was normally out of your hair for 8 hours a day or 6 hours a day. A lot of us have a lot more on our plate. There's the added a lot of people are concerned what's going to happen with their job, or, how are they going to have income coming in because of what's going on out there. And so, he was speaking a lot to releasing oppression, patterns of oppression and depression, and that we only come into oppression and depression when there's something of dissatisfaction within. So, looking like outside of ourselves to fill a spot of vacancy in our heart, or something underlying, why there's some reason why we aren't able to tap into the joy. And so, really uncovering and being open to discovering, he's saying, what it is that's covering up the capacity that we have to carry joy and to live in a vibration of joy. So being open to that information. Remember, Mercury is the messenger of the gods. And in Gemini, it's the story of the self in the flesh and the higher consciousness, the highest aspect of us that is pure unconditional love. So really being open to the part of you who loves you purely and unconditionally, to bring you messages like that as we're moving through this next couple of months. And then we have the Five of Angels. So that would be the Five of Swords in the Rider-Waite Tarot. Spiral inward and be with your sacred heart. Come to peace with the situation by letting it be. Letting it go brings understanding. The Five Angels wants to free you from a prisoner of your own observations and thinkings. This card indicates feelings of defeat, deflation, or revenge. Views, ideas, and perceptions can be supportive friends or cruel companions. A belief that once supported. Okay, so I'm not sure why the camera just stopped working. So I'm going to read the Five of Angels again. So this would be in the Rider-Waite Tarot, the Five of Swords. Withdrawal. Spiral inward and be with your sacred heart. Come to peace with the situation by letting it be. Letting go brings understanding. The Five of Angels wants to free you from a prison of your own observations and thinking, or judgment. This card indicates feelings of defeat, deflation, or revenge. Views, ideas, and perceptions can be supportive friends or cruel companions. A belief that once supported you may now be a limitation. You chose to take on your beliefs, thus you can also change them and set yourself free. Every choice is an opportunity to exercise your free will. Withdraw into love and come to peace with where you are. Okay, so acceptance. I'm like, now I don't know what's going on. I have to make sure all the time that everything's working. Cancel. I don't want to do that. Okay. Here's the Ace of Stars, and this is the Ace of Wands in the Rider-Waite Tarot. A wave of creative energy surges forth to inspire heartfelt actions that will ripple through every sector of your life. The Ace of Stars delights in a burst of raw creative energy that is making its way to you. Stars illuminate success. They light the way so you can make clear choices. An original idea is forming or may already be calling you. It will arrive in the form of a new job, project, hobby, or your own business. You are ready for change. You have the experience and the skills to surge forward. Seize the opportunity this card is offering up. Step into your power and believe in your ability to create your dreams. And then the 10 of Stars, which is the 10 of Wands in the Rider-Waite. Surrender all that you no longer need in order to become more. Helping yourself benefits others more than you could ever know. The 10 of Stars bemoans the responsibilities of your life that are weighing you down. We have been taught that anything worthwhile is not easy and that it is noble to suffer. But as the burdens pile up, so does resentments. And if you continue this behavior, something will occur to bring you into balance. It is time to tackle the tough job of clearing out the clutter. Find a way of being at peace with the stuff you really don't want to work through. When you come into balance with your dreams, the action needed to move forward becomes effortless. Don't forget to ask for help. No one said you had to do this on your own. So many times, like for me, for sure, and then also in healing sessions, I always release obligations to others. That's something that honestly we could do every single day. So if you're feeling like burdened and just like, oh, the stress of it, the anxiety of it all, ask whoever it is that you're comfortable with connecting with, whatever spark of the creator that you see as helpful to you, whether it's Michael, Metatron, Mary, Sandalphon, Jesus, any of them are happy, or the aspect of you who loves you purely and unconditionally. They can help you to relieve that from you, and to cleanse your vibration of any like disharmonious connections where you are requiring yourself to sacrifice for someone. A lot of times it's because we believe that that's what we deserve, that unless we're doing something for someone that they aren't really going to love us. And that's where we can create being indispensable to others just to make sure that we're not left alone. And so, yeah, that's what he was speaking to in relation to that card, recognizing that you don't need to do anything or put any effort forward in order for someone to love you and to accept you, that you're already loved and accepted. You're already seen as perfect, that no sacrifice is required or is a requirement. He's saying to be of service to others. Anything that takes away, or, if you are doing something of service and you don't feel any joy, that's a huge heads up that there's some kind of sacrifice being made, even if it's not something that you're conscious of. Or, and anytime that we're obligated to people, it does create resentment and it can cause relationships to deteriorate. A lot of times with spouses, it's a financial commitment from the male and the emotional commitment from the female, and there's no balance with it. And so there's a harboring resentments, and they grow over time. Even they manifest as like little nitpicking, and the resentment is just there, like seething beneath the surface. So releasing obligations to any disharmonious connections is what he's saying, or interactions. The way that people are people respectful of you is another way that he's pointing out that can manifest, that someone could just not be respectful of you. Okay, and the Knight of Trees correlates with the Knight of Pentacles. The wisdom, courage, and love that you seek is within you. Be still and allow this knowledge to inspire your actions. The Knight of Trees summons you to be still. Things can't always go as planned, but you can always find strength in peace if you would just stop and look for it. Your flair for the dramatic is keeping you from your dreams and desires. You are the custodian of your future. Look after your dreams and your plans as you would nurture your child. Trying to action everything into being will exhaust you and cause your dreams to be neglected. Be still and be strong for the visions in your care. Looking for a plan or another being brings you strength. Looking after a plan or another being brings you strength and focus. You can do this. And he's suggesting that the other being in this case would be the inner child, and that the inner child still suffers a lot, believing that it's unworthy of attention or suffers lack of attention and nurturing. And so he is recommending being playful, and that's how it helps us to always take the higher vision, to see the higher vision, is because we're taking time out to express joy and to have joy. This is weird. I could not get the card off of the table. Okay. Next is the path. There are many paths and many truths. Feel love resonate with you in each moment and step forward. You are always moving toward your dreams. The path guides you to feel the movement of life. It is time to get in touch with your inner driver, your spiritual director. Which direction do you want to be heading? Look where you are going instead of where you are not, and listen to where your thoughts take you. This card indicates that you are or will soon be forging ahead toward your dreams and desires. You are learning to discipline your inner critic and build confidence in your own wisdom. The path is becoming clear. And this card in Rider-Waite would be the Chariot. Sorry, you guys, I think I was moving the cards as I was speaking. So, we're again, just like some of us we're in flux, is what he's saying. That we already talked about that in the last video, that timelines are in flux. New agreements are being drawn up, where he's saying giving invitation and being open to harmonious connections with other soul family members who could help us along on our journey. And that this time, he's saying, Metatron is reiterating as well, that this time calls for a lot of patience, to manifest patience and to practice patience. And he's saying being patient with ourselves, being patient with others around us, being patient with humanity as a whole is what he's saying, and being patient with, the moves that we're making going forward. Remember that Mars, Saturn in that square that we're dealing with through into next year. It is forged steel, but it also is like trial and error, and making sure that it's exactly right. The fire in moving forward, and that there's stability on the path, that we have a firm foundation before we set out on our next adventure, is what he's saying. Okay, so I think we have a pretty good idea of what we have coming up with this next phase of Mercury, and again, that happens just after the equinox. So happy vernal equinox to all of you in the southern hemisphere. Happy autumnal equinox to everyone in the northern hemisphere. And I hope that this has been helpful to all of you, and sending you guys so much love and encouragement. Please be be kind to yourselves, nurturing with yourselves, and he's saying patient with yourselves. All right? Okay, guys, take care. Bye-bye.